Good morning, class. In yesterday's session, we have seen what is the service oriented architecture and what kind of the protocols we are using and what kind of the web service it is providing to process. And today's session, we will see how we achieve this service oriented architecture. So first of all, we will discuss about first kind of the thing which is been supporting the this service oriented architecture, which is enterprise multi-tier architecture. First, what is an enterprise? Although you know that multi-tier architecture means we have this multiple things, that is we have been divided our work into multiple things here. So this multi-tier architecture will has applications which are being called as enterprise applications here. So what these enterprise applications will do here is it encapsulate and also it integrate the various functionalities what you have been providing in this architecture, which is a client server type 1 and also a multi-tier architecture. Here we have the 3-tier like architecture, which has a 3 different rules to process. Why we are using 3 different rules to process here is we have the 2 kinds of environments when we are developing a project. This is a thin client and fat client environments. What is a thin client environment means? We won't process or we won't give any kind of the applications or any kind of the things or manageable things into the system, into the thin client. What is a fat client environment here? We need to deploy all the new applications or any kind of the manageable things or any kind of the things which is helpful into that environment only. Means only one type of the server or one kind of the thing will be having. And what happens here is when this client is having the flat client environments, it is not having high availability. So what is a high availability? Why we are designing all the systems here? Because we need to make the services to be available to the persons who have been requesting 24/7, 365. So what happens here is you are being processing and you are being just engaged with your own process means we won't take the request from others. So what happens here? We need to take the availability into the high. So we form a architecture rather than this normal one or traditional one, which is enterprise based or enterprise application, which is a multi-tier one, which has 3 layers here. The 3 layers in that first one from the top here is the presentation layer. This presentation layer will allow you to interact with the client or outside world. So it provides some web services through the web server, which is used for interaction only. Means it will provide the medium or the kind of the thing which you are being going to interact with the client there. And what it is, it takes the request from the client and it sends to the information system and it processes it and it will send to the client as a response there. Means it's a thing here is, it is taking the operations which are the request and it will process the request and give the response to the client from which has been processed from application logic or the data storage there. And coming to the second layer, which is a application logic layer, or you may say that is a business logic layer. And indeed, which is being specified as a middleware here. Because whenever we are been having the interaction with the client, the environment what you are being provided at the client and the server will not be same at at all the time. What happens here is the client requesting operations will not be the actual operations what you have been represented there will not be understood by the server there. So what the thing means, the data storage or the any kind of the thing we need to access now. So what happens here is this application layer will has a means it allows you to interact with this data storage and it acts as a means it has any converting or any type of the thing will be done here. And how we are going to process or how we are going to take the request here is we need to use one authentication from the client. That is first the client has to be authenticated by himself. And then next, and we will allow the client to access the resources here. To allow the accessing of the resources, we use some sort of that is queries. And then next, we need to means why we are using the query processing here is exactly what the client is requiring, or exactly what the client is asking has to be delivered there. Means in previous sessions we have seen that three types of there. That is a granularity, and the next platform, and the next network oriented. So in that one we have what it is representing the client, what it is been asking for. There is a client, a granularity service means what the client is asking, what he is requesting, or what the person is asking for will be directly specified there. And there is no any turnaround like that one processing. So what it is doing is it is allowing the query processing, which is clearly specifying that we are searching for this file, or we are searching for this data, or we want this type of accessing like that. We need to specify. And coming to the next one, which is the last one, which is used for this data layer or this data storage one. What happens here is the resources, which kind of the one we have been using will be managed here. Means we have the different kind of the data representations here. What the different kind of the representations we have been using? We get an user who is been requesting, or an agent who is requesting, will specify what kind of the data. Means he is asking for a graphical representation, or an image, or a like that an explanative manner, like a paragraphs, or some kind of the PDFs or docs or something. Means any kind of the information has to be stored there. And from this kind of the information, from the different sources or anything, what has to do is nothing but it has to take the information. Means for example, he is asking for one data file. So what the data file he has been asking means, what is that one he has been asking for? We have the certain kinds of the things there. What we need to do is nothing but we are having these kind of the data files. Just go through this one like that. We won't see them, other we won't give this is the data file you are asking for. So the client has been requested for, I want this data file which has been having some sort of the data. What happens here? The server or any other thing has to do is it has to give the relatable data files to the user. From that, among that one, the user will select the data, and then it will means it will be used for another processing. So this kind of environment has to be implemented there. So this multi-tier architecture, what you have been facilitating, will be implemented in coming service models also. And coming to the next type of the thing, what you have been using here is the grid services and open grid service architecture or system architecture. So what it is for, what you have been using for here is, it is been this grid service, what you have been using will include the enterprise like one. Means each and everything, or each and every processing what you have been specifying will be divided into set of features or the properties. Each one process will handle with one like this. This is a one kind of environment what you have been using for. If you see here we are having fabric and middleware and application. So the application will be like the presentation layer what you have been using for. In previous slide, we have seen that the middleware and what kind of the middleware environment it is providing, how it is being processing. Means any kind of the request will not be the same. We have the multiple requests or the multiple things here. So what we need to do, we need to take another, means it is processing one kind of request, means it has to be transferred that kind of the processing. So what it has been doing here is, it is providing certain kinds. Here we have the 7 kinds of the different services here. Any service which belongs to that kind of one will be transferred to that service representation, and it will be handed here. And coming to this one, why we process it here is, we have been representing, it's an open grid architecture. So here, why it is been, it's an open architecture, and it is also a grid-based application. Why we are referring to this open means, here we include both processing, and also we've been specifying developing input. Means to gather the resources to develop one project. And also we are been representing developing environment into this one. Means we are allowed to represent the resources, and or you are allowed to use the resources to develop that is to develop an environment which is being useful here. To develop this environment or to developing this one, what the open grid system architecture or the service architecture is doing here is, it is providing a set of resources here. Means it is a data, and then self-management or any kind of the information infrastructure, all it is been providing. So it is providing, means it allows an user or an agent to use and also manage these things, that is the resources what it is been providing. Next, other thing what it is been doing here is, we need to provide a service, and to provide this service, we specify a, means a characteristic or then a thing called quality of service. So what is the quality of service here? Quality of service means an agent or the requester is requesting for something, how far it is been developing and how far you have been giving the data to that one, means in which medium, and then next the content, and then next the clarity of that one, and then the picturization or any the visualization things, what I have been representing here, how clearly and then next how neatly you are representing that one has to be processed here. And also it is been allowed to user to visualize and also manage other kind of the things, and also the things what you have been seeing, all these, that is a web services or the OGSA environment is all must be loosely coupled. That is, anyone, means for example information services will be accessed by the thing. So what it is been doing here, if it needs to access the another property, that is it is here, need to access the some execution management, is clearly allowed to access that one. Means there is clearly accessing, means they need to be allowed to see changes or any kind of the things has to be implemented there. And why it is, why this kind of environment we need to support here is, in the previous sessions we have seen, we have the WSDL, that is the web services description language is there. And under UDDI, we have been allowing the user to access the information from the server. What happens here is, in this environment, we have been using 7 different things here. Why we are allowing this 7 different of the things here is, we need to represent this kind of the implementations, or this kind of the 7 different have the capabilities of one will be included here. Why we are including this different types of the one here is, the granularity has to be set here. What is the granularity here? For example, an user want to access the data. So what he has to do, turn around like that one, means we need to go for the information. From that one, we need to get the data what you have been represented, means it's not the thing. If he is asking for the straight away service or the straight away thing, we need to present that one. That is the one thing. So why we are using these 7 kinds of thing means, we need to develop an individual processing and make the server not to be busy with one thing. For example, one person is asking for data and another person is asking for infrastructure, security, all means this server will be able to take the request from multiple environments and has to be transferred to this different things here. And coming to the another one, what kind of the services you are being providing here? For example, it is like infrastructure service. So if it is an infrastructure service, means what it has to do is nothing but the services what you are being provided, means common services, means what kind of the database it is been using, and as then processors it is been representing, and what is the server it is specifying, like that it will have the different names, and also different types of the structures or different types of the things will be there, and you will identify through the names there. And coming to the next one, which is the execution management service, what it does here is, in this environment, it will execute the requested service. To execute the request service, we will need some resources here. So what happens here is, it will be connected with the different, that is, we are having 7 now, with the, it will be connected with the remaining 7. And what it will do here is, it will assign the task to the different things, And also that it task means it will assign the jobs to that one, and also provision the resources there. Means to execute a task, it will provision the resources. And then next, what it happens here is, it will see what is the workflow. Workflow means from where I need to start. For example, resource management. I need to take the resources from this one. And then next, is that allowed or not? The security will means how far they can use this resource, how far they can be access that one. All these things means from where I need to start, and the work from where it will be flowing, and at where it ends. This workflow will be, that is the complete service or the complete workflow will be processed here, execution management service. And coming to the next one, which is the data management service, which includes this data service and information service there. What happens here is, we need to take to execute or to process, we need some kind of the files here. If we need some kind of the files here, what are the formats it is requiring? Means you need to load the data set to your project. So you have the one kind of the data set or the one kind of the file with the one extension you are having, and your project or that the client is asking for the another one. What happens here is, the data will be transferred into new formats also. Means you are simply providing data, means there is no any use of using such kind of the architecture. What we need to do here, we need to represent, okay, this kind of the service I am accessing. Okay. And then next, I need to use some CSV file, but there is an XLS file. What it has to do there? You need to use the CSV file, means the service has to convert that into the CSV file and you need to give to you. Okay. Next one, you have the CSV file or the XLS file, but you need to have only pictorial representation only, or graphical representation, or you need to have some explanatory thing, or some kind of the summary. Means it has the data, but what kind of the data is used to process your request will be given by the client. So the client, what has to work, the client will request, okay, I need the image or image representation of that one. So what this OGSA has to do here, from this data management service, it is having the data and it has to convert into the new formats which are requested by the user, not the exact formats it is been representing there. When converting this one, or when converting all these things into, what we have to do is nothing but, we need to in the back, means in the front end we are requesting that one. From the back end, what it has to do that, it has to write several queries and interact with the memory and other thing also. Means it has to performing data accessing and the data management also, and also it has to create the new data formats and it has to manage also. All these things will be done from the other end. And coming to the next one, which is the resource management. So what are the resources we are having here? Means whatever the things like your memory, and then next processors or the data or any kind of the thing will be represented as a resource here. And we are giving a different kind of the name here is, whether they are asking for the representations or they are asking for the information. Because we need to differentiate what kind of the request they are being requesting. So when the request is reached to the information or the data service and they are been transferring the information, means it is some time taking procedure. When they are raising the request, if you have the clear imagination, or if you have the clear thing, that is they are requesting for this kind of one. So what happens here is, you will be transferred into that service. If they are requesting for this kind of one, they will be transferred. So that's why first, what kind of service they are being requesting for. So that's if it is a information, the information will be transferred to them. Not at all the representation, means it has to be given to the another kind of the grid here. And then next, along with that one, what kind of what are the works has to be assigned to that one here is, it has to be self-monitored. Self-monitored here means whether the that is server you have been used here, the server is completely utilized by the persons or not. If it is not utilized, how far it is utilizing, whether the keeping of this resource is a means valid one or not, means is if you are wasting the space to the others or not. And if it is there, for example, if no one is utilizing this server, we can make the space what is occupying this server to the new server, because anyone is not no one is requesting for the services provided by this server. So what happens here, it is not been considered in this resource management, and we will be replacing with the means frequently asked one. That is the one thing. Next, deploy the new, what they have been asking, new kind of the services or new kind of then what they are asking has to be deployed here. And whoever is asking for the services and who have been requesting for the services has to be monitored here. That is, request monitoring has to be done. And along with this taking the request, we need to look into the another one, which is called as the security service. Here the security service here is, we need to provide resources here. Means we are being giving one CSV file or another kind of the file, means what happens there, it is not allowed to use only the by single person. For example, if you have been having the data, which is some 100 like thing here. So what happens here, 100 like thing, 100 data you have been represented. So here the 100 data representation has been done. Means, for example, it is been allowed to take the 100 request here. 100 request means it can be accessed by 100 users at a time. How it is allowed to access the 100 users means the data set what it is been having, data set is there now. So data set what it is been having here, it is having some lakhs of data, that is lakhs of rows of data, lakhs of rows will be there. Anyone among the user, any user you have been representing is allowed to use some extent only. For example, many of the users, means let it be some 100 requests, means from for example it is having the some 25 requests. From the 25 requests you are allowed to access from 200 rows to some 500 rows, and all the people are asking for the data only. Okay, so what happens here is, from the lakhs of the rows what they have been, you are been giving only 300 rows of data to whom only 25 users. What about remaining one? The remaining will be free now. So why we are allowing to multiple access here? Multiple access means the data set will be one. If we are allowing to the sharing environment here, what happens here? Multiple people will be allowed to access. So whenever there is an environment like sharing, first what you have to do is nothing but whether it is what are the things we need to consider here is the person who is accessing here is whether he is a authorized person or not. First thing, authorized person is not or not means how you have been achieving that one. First one here is you need to take authentication into an account, authenticate him. So authenticate him means username and password will be given. Authorized, you have the authentication means username password is there, and it is not necessary that you are allowed to access the complete information there. Are you authorized to access that kind of information? Has to be specified there. Means you are allowed to, for example, this 25 people is accessing this kind of means only 300 rows of data, means other rows will not be used by them. So what you will do, you will be restricting them to use the remaining one. So authorization means are you allowing to use this persons to these remaining things or not? So for that one, this security, what it is doing, what is the data set we are using and how many requests it is been having. If we are taking such kind of the request, there means such number of requests, whether this process what you have been representing is working properly or not. That is the one thing. Okay, if it is working, then you will allow as many as users to access this data set here. That is the one. Next, accessing of the data set means you have a problem, that is which is the shade one. Are you allowed to make changes? Means updations like modifications are allowed by user or not, we need to discuss here. If you are been allowing the update, that is updation or modification by the user, And what you have to do is nothing but there must be some consistency of that one. Means if it is modified by me, that will be used by others also. Or that is a valid or not. So that's why what you have to do is nothing but we need to make whether it is a changeable, that is read only or allowed to make changes or not, has to be specified there. So to overcome this one, what it is to do, we need to take this information into an account. So what this information take there here is, it provides the dynamic data. So what is the dynamic data here is whoever been logged in, whoever means logged in means authentication, and then next he is a person authorized or not, and also it provides the who have been modified, some make some changes into that one, who have been modified or not, has to be means after login we need to keep some information about that thing. If you are not having that information, that is that is called as a history of processing. So if we won't have this history of the processing, what happens here, whoever made the changes to that resource will not be identified. And it is also means if you are, if they are keep means it is a mistake of accessing means clearly it is allowed. It is not, it's wantedly they are been making the changes to that one means what happens here, we need to restrict that kind of the users to access that one. Means how we are identifying means through their logins or to that one we are been identifying that person who is been means modifying or updating the data repeatedly or frequently, and which makes the that is data set or that resource unavailable to others also, has to be identified. And then next, this kind of the resources, what you have been representing here is will be handled by self-management services also. So this self-management services, what happens here is, simply this is an example here. For example, the data set is there. And what you are doing there, you are not allowing to this data set will be given to one person and the remaining other persons will wait here. All the persons will access this one. All the persons are accessing this one means what happens here, the cost reduction is there. Cost will be reduced. And then next means managing different kind of the data set handling by you, by the different people will be easier here. So the work will be distributed. And also what it is been doing is where you are storing and where you are representing, where from where I need to get the data will be done easily here. So this is a set of the features which is been provided by these things, what you have been doing here. And coming to the next one, what you have been representing here, that is we are using one kind of the service architecture, what you have been providing. Here that thing, what you are representing here is will be applied or will be processed by some set of specifications what you have been giving here. Means what is the specification you have been provided and what kind of the service it is being given to you has to be given here. Means, for example, you need to get the some web services resources here, a set of web services resource. What we need to do there, it will be accessing a service group, and then service group will be giving, these are the set of the services provided by us, you can use that one. And along with that one, what we need to do here is resource along with the lifetime has to be represented. Anything, any kind of the resource will have a lifetime. Means up to which extent or up to which one it will be stayed in this server has to be specified before itself. And frame where you are been getting information, whoever been providing the information will be given by the related specifications. Means this is the broken notification here is who published this kind of web service and how you are been getting the sun. And then next, from where I can get this web service, like that we have been represented. And what are the other kind of the grid services we are having here is, along this one, we are being divided this services into multiple one. That is first you can see what we can discover. We can discover in a server either data or a service. And you need to interact with each other means you are using a service called messaging. That is send and receive. No? In this, we will represent it as a publish and subscribe. Publish means I am giving the service and you need to subscribe to my service to use. Okay. And then next, for this storage, what you have been doing, retention means how far it has been accessing, how many organizations, from where I am getting the data, and what kind of the synchronous collaborations I am using, and whoever been providing the data, who from the agents I am getting means agents or some other kind of the things it has been providing that one. And another kind of the resource it is been taken into an account means it will be providing that one also. Other than this one, we have the multiple things into an account. That is what kind of the services we are being seeing in this grid environment. This is one example, which is the chemical informatics of grid here. What we need to provide means what the service name it is been providing, and what you are been getting from here is, here we need to, this is a project here. This project completely use it for to support this cluster analysis and other kind of this calculative principles, all these things. I need to get the data. Means from where I need to get the data, or from where I representing this, they are giving, these are all service names. You need to give the service name, and you need to give a little bit description regarding that one. By seeing that one, what they will means have the thing here is, okay, this kind of information will be present here. So by availing the service, what they will do is they will means use the data, and then next they will go on with their work. And these are the different kinds of services provided by this chemical means processing what you have been using. Means they need some images, or they need some kind of the things, means they can use CDK services here. For example, they need to convert this chemical formats into other one, means they will be using Open Babel service there. And then next, they need to interact with the other kind of the thing, means they will be using tox-free environment, that is tox-free service here. This is using for combination of other, means it will be combining different algorithms, and it will be processing the data, and it is giving to this one. So what happens here is, it is allowing to take this to you to ready, and then next to be given by the producer, that is we have been providing that one. So the client has to request the service by specifying its name, and from the description he will be getting the what are the things it has been processing here. Along with this one, we have the another one into an account one, which is an enterprise bus. So how it is achieving this enterprise bus, we need to see the. So this one means different processing, means services will be processed, and this one then means, for example, I am providing the data service. In the previous slide, we have seen 7 different services, and 7 different services will be interacting with each other. We didn't mention any kind of the means communication channel there, but how it is achieving here is, it is been means these are all connected with a message bus, which has been following some kind of the environment, which is the communication and routing abstraction. Why we are using the communication and routing abstraction means, see here, these are the services, and these are the replicas of the services. For example, service 1 interacts with the service service 1 is having, that is want to interact with the service 2, means what happens here is, through the message bus they will be interacting with that one. And then next, for example, they need to get this is the one kind of the service provided by one person. And you have from the broker one, we have this N services, broker 2, N services, like this one. Means we need to interact with these all things. And then next, the clients will interact with each other. And then next they will be processing. This is the architecture, or this is one within the means one broker, or within the one. And this is the interaction with the between the persons who has been sending or providing the multiple services here. And how we are been publishing, or how we are been getting the data into an account here is, we need to give the messages into an account. So what kind of the messages it is been providing? Means interact with the, means I want this data. So it will be taking the data, the content only. So whoever been providing the data will be called as the publisher. And the publisher, what it will do here is he won't give all the things here. For example, it is an employee table, means it is the employee table about this and this department, or like that, it won't give. So it simply gives a simple information about that one. For example, that is a service, and then next in the previous slide you have seen service, and then service followed by one thing. Okay. So here what happens here is we need to give the service a name, and by that this one subscriber will able to identify what kind of the service it is been providing. And when you are been clicking on the request, means it will be converted into the query, and then next it will interact with data storage. The storage what you have been represented will be given there. Okay. And another kind of the service here what you are been representing here is whether this publisher and then subscriber is been interacting with each other, means what kind of protocol we are been providing here is we are providing advanced message queuing protocol. What it is for here is they are being keeping interacting with each other, and we are not been specifying a complete information. We are giving only the semantic. Semantic means meaning of that one, means meaning of that conversation. For that meaning of that conversation, what we need to use here, we use the another kind of the representations here. That is in the OGSA server, we are having that is implementation, which is the web service implementation, and also web service processing. This web service, what you have been representing, will be having one event, and then next you will be represented as a notification. For example, you have the notification in the messenger services also, you have some notification that particular person or the particular organization will send you. So what they will do, they will describe you this and will be happening. You need to, for example, it's a recharge or something. These are the things you have been having. These are the things you have been allowing to access. Like that, it is specified. Means